you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally intervening in this debate today, I would first, though, want to join with the sentiments of my colleague, the Member of Parliament for St. Michael's South East, who spoke about the level of this debate this morning and the behavior of members on the government side, particularly the Attorney General and the Minister of Education. They are supposed to be leaders and examples for young people in this country. And if that is how they behave and the kind of sentiments they express in here and the kind of low language and lack of class, really and truly, that is unfortunate. Unfortunate examples to the young people in this country.
Honourable member, just a moment, please.
The member cannot refer to another member as low class, as a lack of class.
In their behaviour.
No, we can't do that.
Honourable member.
Behavior.
Honourable member.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I think, just a moment. One moment, please. Pedro.
So, Mr. Chairman, there is...
Honourable member, would you please hold one moment?
Oh, okay, sir.
Thank you. Honourable member, I request you to withdraw those remarks in respect to the other members in the House.
Yes, sir. I withdraw, sir.
Thank you very much, Honourable member, and we will not go that road again.
You know, Mr. Speaker, this debate clearly shows the philosophical divide between the two parties. Clearly shows a philosophical divide. You know, a lot of the people say the parties are the same and, you know, it makes no difference. This debate clearly shows the divide. Because in politics, as in life, you have to stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Previous to this political administration, both parties had agreed that education was sacrosanct to the advancement of the people of Barbados socially and economically. Both parties agreed that politicians, the political administration, had a social contract with the people of Barbados for free tertiary education. Both parties. One thing we could agree with the Right Honourable Prime Minister on is that the imposition of tuition fees on University of the West Indies education by Barbadians is a retrograde step. That's the one thing that we agree on. 80% of the graduates of the University of the West Indies historically have been from the working class of this country. 80%. Yes. 13 of the 16 Democratic Labour Party members of Parliament right now are university educated at the University of the West Indies. Paid free for them. Free tuition fees. Including the Right Honourable Prime Minister, who had 3 degrees and 1 certificate, legal certificate, paid free by the taxpayers of this country. It is a shame that they should now kick down the ladder and be telling you that people now have to pay and that time has come and we've evolved.
Honourable member, one moment, please. Honourable member for St. Lucie.
Mr. Chairman, the Honourable member St. James North knows that he's misleading.
You're rising on point of order.
On a point of order,
Thank
the
you.
Honourable member is misleading the House because the Honourable member knows that it was not the Democratic Labour Party that stopped Barbadians from having the opportunity to do more than 1 degree, but it was the Barbados Labour Party that did it in 2003. So the Honourable member should stop misleading the House.
You know, Mr. Chairman,
for St. James. No,
you know, Mr. Chairman, as usual, the honourable member for St. Lucie misunderstands everything in this House and shows by his every intervention in anything in this Parliament why the late Prime Minister was absolutely correct in his judgment that he should never see the inside of a cabinet meeting. I really don't know why the Right Honourable Prime Minister breached that judgment, impeccable judgment by the late Prime Minister. You know, from the time of the University of the West Indies, its establishment, State-funded education at University of the West Indies level was recognized as the only way out for the poor people of this country. As Dr. Henderson Carter said in his address during last year's celebration of the 375th anniversary of Parliament, Barbadians deserve free education because our parents had fought hard for it. The Right Honourable national hero, Errol Barrow, believed that publicly funded tertiary education was a social right, invested in the masses for centuries, excluded from the economic ownership structures of this society. And you know, that national hero has to be turning in his watery grave. Has to be turning in his watery grave, together with the late Sir James Cameron Trudeau, to understand and to know that people who have inherited their leadership positions in the Democratic Labour Party have done this to poor black people in this country and have come with all kinds of shenanigans and excuses to justify it.
Honourable Member.
As I said, the honourable member is misleading the House, and as I said, I've given up the honourable member for Lent. But I don't like the name of the Right Excellent Errol Barrow being taken in vain. I know that in 1985, the Right Excellent Errol Barrow wrote the preface to the 30th anniversary booklet of the Democratic Labour Party, which 30th anniversary booklet makes very clear, so far as university education is concerned, that the party, any future DLP government, would work with the university to determine where the priorities lie and would determine how many places in each faculty the government would be prepared to support. Even Errol Barrow accepted that the time was coming when continuing to finance university education in the old ways, that time was going to have to come to an end. So I don't know what he's talking about. This is a published document. I can bring it to the House tomorrow.
Honourable Member.
And make a document to the House. Huh? I give it up you.
Honourable, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I could well understand now why that late national hero used to mention somebody by the name of Fraud Dow's throat. I can now understand.
Honourable Member.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I
withdraw.
Honourable Member, hold on. Honourable Member, wait. You, I believe, were one of the persons this morning that spoke about the fact that there are people listening. If we don't respect each other in here, how do you expect others outside to respect us? And we have to be careful about the level of behavior. Hold on. Okay, please. Yes. I understand the need to understand how it is, but certainly let us consider that when you point a finger, fork are pointed back at you. Okay? So let us treat each other with the respect that is desired, so that others on the outside will treat the same. And I will really ask that all members desist from that type of behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The fact is, Mr. Chairman, that the present head of the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill, contradicts what the Right Honourable Prime Minister just said, because he has wrote a thesis saying that in 1986, that national hero spoke to him about how he can continue the legacy of the Democratic Labour Party within the context of free education and within the context of the economy at the time.
I remember this moment. I remember for Sir Michael.
Member must not continue to mislead the House. I don't have to say, as the person the honourable member is talking about, I don't quote what people who can't defend themselves or verify what I'm saying say to me, what I said in here today is in a published document with the signature of Earl Barrett on it. It's a public document. I've heard that talk about what Barrett told me, that he wants me to do this. I don't have to do that. I dealt with Barrett directly. And I have the published document in which he said, we all said, and he signed it, that a future DLP government will work with the University of the West Indies to see where the priorities lie and to determine how many places in each faculty the government would support based on manpower projections. I don't have to quote anybody who can't contradict me.
Honourable member, please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
No, that's
Look, Mr. Chairman, the Barbados Labour Party in the last administration was faced with the same choice. In 1994 and 95, we were emerging from a recession similar to the one we have had and still in. And yes, the Leonard Shorey report, which has been mentioned in here earlier today, recommended that students pay 50% of their tuition costs. And the Honourable Leader of the Opposition as Minister of Education rejected that report, and the Barbados Labour Party continued to pay for the tuition fees 100% of University of the West Indies students. Government has to be about choices. Government has to be about political will. And there has to be political will on this score. That not everyone has $115,000 vehicles and Livingstone houses and electricity and carry their children to Disneyland, as the Right Honourable Prime Minister spoke about, and could afford to pay tuition fees. The Honourable Member for St. James South said that even those people are under pressure under his government today. That is what he said. That is not the average person. The average person now whose children wants to go to the University of the West Indies has been laid off from their job by the government. One of the 3,500 people, after being told last election that not one public servant will go home. They're under pressure to pay the rent or the mortgage. They're under pressure to pay the water bill or the electricity bill. They're under pressure to pay health costs for their mother or for their sick child. That is the average person who wants to attend the University of the West Indies. They're under pressure having to pay increased prices every time they go to the supermarket. Cost of living gone up. So don't let's fool ourselves. These pronouncements from Democratic Labour Party members of Parliament that we have benefited from the University of the West Indies education and can therefore now pay for our children. We know that. But let us think about the 80% out there who are not like us. Let us think about them. And what are we asking them to do right now? Are they going to be like many of my constituents who have had to drop out of the University of the West Indies because they can't pay the tuition fees, because the bursaries didn't come through 12 months after the Minister of Education first announced them? Are they like an individual in a St. Michael constituency right now represented by the Democratic Labour Party that the Honourable Member for St. James, for St. George North and I met, who said that he had to drop out, a teacher, because his DLP member of Parliament refused to help him pay any tuition fees. And we saw him on the block a Saturday afternoon. That is the average person we are talking about here.
Honourable member has 3 minutes.
And you know, this nonsense, hysteria peddling nonsense that, you know, if we did not remove the fees, if we didn't impose the fees, that the hospital would have closed and that SJPP would be on its last legs and that students at BCC would have to pay 50% of their fees as pronounced by the Honorable Minister of Education is pure hysteria, because we are saying that there are certain social welfare systems that have to be kept in place, and that in a big book where total expenditure of $4.3 billion, that a government must be able to find $35 million to continue funding the university. Yes, I agree that with the Member of Parliament for St. James, North South, that you look to see how the University of the West Indies costs could have been cut down, and that should have been done. And if the DLP government didn't do that, that it shows their incompetence. Sit down with the University of the West Indies officials and show how the cost could be cut down or eliminate part-time tutors and lecturers. Those kind of issues should have been dealt with. Why wasn't the concept of the University College of Barbados that the Barbados Labour Party had settled on, amalgamated SJPP, BCC, Erdiston College, why wasn't that continued? And a concept that would have created efficiencies in tertiary level education in Barbados and cut down on the costs. You know, we speak about BCC not having expanded and trying to blame the Barbados Labour Party. Why wasn't BCC expanded, therefore, where, yes, we agree the cost for educating the student is less? When are we going to start the expansion of the BCC and the Polytechnic, which we heard about in a budget, I believe it was 2 budgets ago, or in the throne speech, I believe it was, which is a document of the House? When are we going to see those come off the ground in the north so that BCC and the Polytechnic could be expanded? But these are issues that we have to face. And, you know, and even so, Mr. Chairman, even so, with the imposition of tuition fees, the Democratic Labour Party government has still not reduced to any main substantial extent the debt owed to the University of the West Indies. They came in January 2008 and found a debt-clear government situation to the University of the West Indies. The Barbados government did not owe the University of the West Indies any money when they came into office in January 2008. According to the Auditor General's report, the debt to the University of the West Indies is now $132 million as of July 31st last year. I believe, and if it is different, the Minister of Education can say that it is right now back to more than $150 million. But we had heard 2 Aprils ago that $40 million would be paid to the university each quarter to reduce that debt. Has that been done?
I remember. Time has expired.
You know, Mr. Chairman, appreciate it, and I'll come back on this issue.